Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another episode of Tutorialmon. In this episode, we'll be going over the blue text found on many cards in the game. This form of text is known as timing. These timings only activate when the specific conditions are met, but all matching timings on your cards activate in any order of your choosing. I want to make it clear that none of these abilities activate while the Digimon is in the breeding area. Let's start with the timing start of your turn. As of the making of this video, this timing primarily is found on tamer cards, though there is at least one Digimon with this timing right now. These abilities activate immediately at the start of your turn, before your Unsuspend Phase. These start of turn abilities can activate in any order you want. For example, this Kawai card could suspend an opponent's Digimon before this Tamer card, Izumi and Mimi Tachikawa, allowing you to use its start of turn ability to gain 2 memory. This order of operations works best when you consider that a lot of Tamer cards have an ability to set your memory to 3 at the start of your turn. Once all of your start of turn abilities are resolved, you can then enter your Unsuspend Phase. As soon as your turn begins, all cards with a your turn timing are able to be activated. Some of these abilities are permanent, such as this Megadramon, who is also treated as a black Digimon card. During your opponent's turn, it is just red, so cards like this Golemon, who only affect black Digimon cards, won't work on him during your opponent's turn. Other your turn abilities might have specific conditions, but if they're met during your opponent's turn, they won't work. For example, if something allowed you to Digivolve during your opponent's turn, this Takumi Aiba won't be able to activate his your turn ability. Cards that say opponent's turn are the opposite of your turn. Everything applies the same, but backwards. These effects and abilities can only be activated or active during your opponent's turn. Next is the all turns timing. These effects can be used whenever, if they require a specific trigger. Or if they don't, they are permanent abilities that are active while in the battle area. Start of your main phase effects happen after your breeding phase ends. This means that you have a chance to change your board state before these abilities take effect. If we have no red Digimon on our board, but this Hawkmon in our breeding area, we can move it during our breeding phase. Then, our main phase will begin, and we will now have a red Digimon in play, so Yoli will gain us 1 memory. Main is the timing found most commonly on option cards, but has been seen on Tamers and Digimon as well. These effects can be activated during your main phase. As long as the conditions are met, you can activate the main ability of a card as many times as you want, such as using the Digiburst of a Digimon with enough Digivolution sources under it. Of course, if the conditions are no longer met, such as suspending this Izzy card, you can't use the ability again until it's no longer suspended. For the most part, if you're using an option card, it's going to be a one-time use, as after you have activated the option card, you will be trashing it. The main timing is closely connected to another timing called security. These timings only activate when the card is revealed in your security stack. As a result, you'll only see these about 5 to 10 times a battle, unless of course you're playing against a lot of recovery cards. Most option cards activate their own main effect, but some will do something completely different. As of the making of this video, all Tamer cards have a security effect that places them in your battle area. Some Digimon cards even have this same ability. Keep in mind that if a Digimon or Tamer is played as a result of their security ability, you will activate their on-play ability. On-play is the ability that activates when a card is played directly into the battle area. Whether it comes from your security, your trash, or straight from your hand doesn't matter, its on-play effect will activate. If an effect would cause you to play more than one card at the same time, you can activate those on-play effects in any order you want. Remember though, on-play effects are not the same as when digivolving effects. If you take a Digimon with an on-play effect and digivolve it on top of one of your other Digimon, you will not activate its on-play effect. But if it has a when digivolving ability, you'll be able to activate that. When digivolving only occurs when a Digimon in the battle area digivolves into a Digimon with a when digivolving ability. An important thing to keep in mind is that when digivolving abilities activate after you draw one card for digivolving. For example, this Savior Huckmon can let us play a Digimon with Sistermon in its name directly from our hand. We don't have one in our hand right now, but we'll digivolve anyway in order to make our level 4 Digimon stronger. The top card of our deck was Sistermon Blanc, who we can now play as we drew this card after digivolving, but before our when digivolving effect activated. When digivolving effects happen, even if digivolving would make it your opponent's turn. For example, if I have only one memory and digivolve my Agumon into this Greymon, I draw a card for digivolving, but I gain a memory because of the when digivolving ability that this Greymon has, thus keeping my memory at 0 and letting me continue my turn. Once you have finally moved things over to your opponent's turn, but before their turn truly starts, we'll activate any end of your turn effects that we have. Note that your end of turn effects activate before your opponent's start of turn effects. Opposite to this is the end of opponent's turn effect. These cards activate their abilities once everything else in your opponent's turn is resolved, but before your start of turn effects begin. I'll also use this brief moment as an opportunity to mention that any timing abilities you see as an inherited effect only activate if the Digimon is digivolved past their current level. For example, even if this Greymon had digivolved from the toy Agumon, you wouldn't draw 2 cards at the end of your opponent's turn. You'd have to digivolve Greymon into something else first. Next we'll talk about the most commonly used timing, the when attacking timing. Here in this stack we have a total of 5 when attacking abilities, all of which will need to be resolved when Magnadramon attacks the security stack of our opponent. The best part of this, however, is that we can activate these abilities in any order we want. Right now, we only have 2 security cards, but Pulsemon and Gatomon's inherited effects need us to have 3. We also only have 2 Digimon on board, so Pikmon's won't activate either. If we had to do these in a specific order, say bottom to top, all 3 of these abilities would be worthless. However, we can activate Angelomon's first, as it only needs 3 or less, letting us play this Pulsemon from our hand. After that, we can activate Pikmon's ability, since we now have 3 Digimon on board. Then, we'll activate the recovery ability of Magnadramon's when attacking, before we activate Gatomon's, then Pulsemon's for good measure. Only after all 5 of these abilities have been addressed can our opponent flip that security card over. Oof. Well, that's how it goes, I suppose. Remember, if you are the opponent, don't flip your security card over until your opponent is absolutely done with every when attacking ability. Not only is it rude to rush your opponent, but you're also giving away key information to your opponent that might change how they use their abilities. Once your attack is finished, check to see if your Digimon has an end of attack ability, which activates so long as the Digimon survived their attack. Skull Greymon's reward for surviving is getting deleted, but he does have an on-deletion ability. This ability happens when, you guessed it, the Digimon gets deleted. On-deletion effects happen after the card and all of its Digivolution sources are in the trash bin. So if this Sistermon Blanc Awakened has a normal Sistermon Blanc under her, you would be able to add that very same card to your hand as per Awakened's effect. Take note also that if you and your opponent have on-deletion Digimon that get deleted at the same time, whoever's turn it is has their on-deletion effects go first. This also applies to other timings like on-play and when digivolving. This ends our longest episode so far, and I'm sure new timings will appear in the future. But for now, take heart that once you understand how timings work, you will be one step closer to mastering this game. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next episode. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.